Hey everyone, this article right here should concern a whole lot of Canadians. Actually, should concern the overwhelming majority of Canadians who are naturalized citizens of this country. Those who, the tax slaves and serfs that supposedly, even though none of them have ever done so, and if you question them properly, they'll have to admit the truth. But the ones that believe in this social construct, right, or this social contract, same idea, same shit, different pile. But the whole premise of being able to steal and plunder the masses, with taxation, regulation, the many different myriads and methods that governments use to plunder the masses. But the whole premise of that, just like like a parent in a household situation, is the whole premise is these are the rules, but we all have to follow the same rules. And especially when it comes to economics or the amount of income, yeah, we won't skirt around the fact that I don't get to go steal from everyone else, or if you're a farm owner, you don't get to go hire people down the road or down the lane and throw your kids off the farm just because they want to have a livable wage for doing so, right? That's that's a social contract or a social construct inside the family setting. In governments, government versus the populace, the people, it's you just expand that premise, even though we all know it's completely bullshit. But let's play their game, right? Let's expand the premise of the family contract with the social contract. And the social contract in Canada is supposed to be that we take care of each other first. First and foremost, the people that are forced to pay in and prop this fucking system up, literally forced, you get first dibs. You're what matters most, right? Obviously, that's not the game anymore. Central planners no longer give a fuck about the lowly fucking tax slaves or serfs, wage earners, or even to a certain degree small and big medium business, because they recognize that's the thing. With fiat currencies and central banks, now they have the power to. What do I care what you? Oh, you don't want to donate to me, or you don't want to fucking follow my shit? Well, I don't give a shit. I'll just borrow from future generations, right? Borrow against future generations, or use your credit, because GDP and all that shit is, if Canada has good credit ratings, it's not it's the accumulation of all human beings, but it's these central planners that are using their current tax cows, tax slaves, wage serfs. Just like if a farmer went to borrow from the bank, they're trying to use their existing farm and the infrastructure and the animals on that farm to be able to borrow to bring in more animals. The problem, of course, is that now animals don't have the right or the ability to speak out and say, hey, wait a minute, there's only 20 stalls here. If you bring in more cows and there's only 20 stalls, does that mean I gotta start fucking sharing stalls with people? Does that mean, I don't get milked as much, or whatever? But either way, it all comes down to that race to the bottom, where people were used to a certain set of ideals, goals, premises, and now they're being told that, no, forget all about that. Yeah, we're ripping up the social contract, and we're not even going to try to negotiate a new contract. We're just going to tell you this is the way it is. Like it or lump it, deal with it. You got a problem with it? Well, you could protest or petition, but we don't really. Well, first of all, if you petition us, we'll just ignore that shit. Now, if you protest, we'll get our enforcers to beat you down so that you won't come out and try that shit again. So, like I say, it's so top down, it's not even fucking funny anymore. Anyways, if you want to know what the numbers are, what these people are talking about, and the kind of immigration, this massive increase in immigration, you want to talk about the numbers they're talking about? Now, remember, keep this in mind, Canada. There's 36 million people in this country. Canada is expected to substantially boost the number of immigrants it welcomes to the country each year, but experts warn that any increase must be matched with more robust resettlement assistance. So we'll bring in more tax slaves and serfs, right? But we're gonna. It's always a win-win for the government. Every kind of scenario. Think about it. Now they get to hire more bureaucrats. So not only are they going to steal from you to prop up and help the people that come to this country, these immigrants, right? Or these refugees, not only are you going to be forced to fucking pay for them, the ones that aren't competitive or the ones that are going to be looking to live off the doles, right? But the ones that even are willing to work, well, you're going to have to compete with them in the workforce. Or the ones that even have a little bit of money and want to buy a home, well, you're going to be forced to outbid them, right? If you want to get a home. So once again, the government's throwing you fuckers under the bus for people, complete strangers. and well, no, Canadians are not happy about this, because that's the thing. I always read the comments because I know the propaganda that's put forth. Yeah, I know which way the narrative's always going to lean when it comes to the mainstream media in this country. Holy fuck, yeah, they don't give a shit. These fucks like this Kathleen Harris, the senior writer for CBC, they don't give a shit. They live in their gated communities. They're not going to fucking have to deal with any of this stuff. But when you read through the comments, all of them, and you can select on CBC, you can go through by most liked, most recent, by every metric, by every measure, you'll see that Canadians are overwhelmingly against this, but they're going to present a completely opposite narrative. The central planners and the propagandists are going to, Canadians don't mind it as much, right? Complete fucking absolute bullshit. And I know this to be true. I don't know 100%. Like, Canadians piss me off on a lot of different levels in many ways, right? Because they're, for the most part, mindlessly indoctrinated statists, right? But there are certain times when you see that, and immigration, have to compete in that race at the bottom. Canadians, I think, do instinctively recognize that, and they're fucking pissed off. And it ain't just Canadians. Look at in the UK with the Brexit vote. Look at the populism of Donald Trump. That's instinctive in anybody that, yeah, you don't mind natural competition, but if somebody's going to be able to tie you to a chair and bring someone in your household to play, duck, duck, goose. Yeah, you don't want to be the one that's always going to be the loser, right? Everyone else is allowed to freely walk around or play musical chairs, but you're tied to the chair? Yeah, it's pretty instinctive that you're going to recognize that you're in the bad, perilous position at that stage of the game. That you're not going to want to play in that game, are you? Because you know that you're the immediate loser. You're going to be the ones going to always lose under that scenario. And Canadians are recognized, even if they don't know everything instinctively or objectively regarding immigration and this whole premise of bringing people in for supposed GDP growth or whatever, but people are instinctively aware that, yeah, wait a minute, if I gotta compete with people, either I gotta compete with them or pay for them. And if it was a natural competition, Canadians, for the most part, even though some of them probably don't even like natural competition, but I'm sure they could deal with that. But they can't deal with the situation where they're going to have to compete in a race that they can't win. It's just so fucking wrong on so many levels. The new levels will seek... Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Minister John McCallum, piece of fucking... is expected to reveal new targets Monday, one day before Finance Minister Bill Morneau presents his fall economic update. The new levels will seek to offset projected demographic challenges in Canada, including an aging population and growing labor gaps. Like I said, they want to bring in more fucking, like as if people aren't already paid low enough, and is where there's just more and more people competing for even minimum wage or low paying jobs, but they want to bring more people in. Like I say, this race to the bottom, I don't know, these fucking central planners, because they're not the ones that have to participate in it. They love pulling the strings, right? They love playing Canadians like we're puppets on a string. But listen to this here now. In 2016, the target was to permit 300,000 newcomers to the country. The government's Economic Growth Advisory Council has recommended ramping up immigration levels to 450,000 people a year over the next 5 years. Over the next 5 years. with a focus on skilled, highly educated, and business-oriented people. McCollum has suggested that target may be overly ambitious, but said the government will substantially raise the number. So even if they end up with 400,000 over 5 years, that's 2 million in a country with a small population, like 36 million. 2 out of 36 million. Right? That's a substantial increase in your population, folks. And if you don't think that that's going to have massive negative consequences and ramifications for the people that currently reside in this country, well, either you're a fucking completely ignorant moron or you've been living under a rock since birth. Either way, anyone that lives in this country that doesn't recognize the fact that your government, your central planning overlords, stealing from you to bring people in to force you to have to compete with them on that race to the bottom. If you don't think that that's going to fucking be a net negative for the naturalized citizens of Canada, or even, second and third generation new Canadians, if you don't think that all this bullshit's not going to even make you have to compete on that race to the bottom, well, get ready to realize and recognize the reality that's going to hit you full on. And you're not going to, once it's done, like I said, it's going to be a whole lot harder to try to turn back the hands of time and unwind this level of bureaucracy. Because that's the thing, once they've created this system and they've hired and employed all these new public sector fucksticks to propagate this platform and this initiative, do you think they're going to want to lose their job? No, because then it'll be like, oh, well, you're just going to crash the economy if you don't start down. Oh, I mean, we've already started down the slippery slope. We're sliding down there hard, but man, try to put the fucking foot on the brakes at least, because this is not going to work out good for anybody. Well, I should say anybody. There are going to be a very small amount of people that are going to benefit from it, but the overwhelming majority of the masses in Canada is going to be a net negative for sure. Not just in the short term, the medium term, but in the long run. Even in the long run. Well, I will speak in the real long game, because there's a lot of things that could change then. But in the short to medium term, and when I'm talking short to medium term, I'm talking short, 1 to 10 years, long, medium, 10 to 30, 40, 50 years, right? That's going to be, and for those people that are going to live and grow up or have the most prosperous times of their life over the next 30, 40, 50 years, that's what's going to affect you. After that, like I say, who knows? Fuck, who knows how this, and even that, even what I'm saying, that could change too if people change their mentalities and try to put the brakes on this bullshit and prevent this kind of stuff from happening. But over 5 years to bring in 400,000, like I say, 2 million in a country that only has 36 million, it's not going to work out good for you, Canada. I hope you all realize and recognize this fact. Me, and I should be a lot more upset than I even seem that I am right now. But the truth of the matter of the fact is, I've just said that, listen, I found a little corner on the farm where nobody will really bother you. And I'm soon going to head off to that corner, and the rest of you fucks can just keep fighting and bickering amongst yourself. Because I'm done. I've been, like I said, couple hundred videos plus now I've done trying to help educate and inform people properly. I think I try to articulate my message in a way that leads people to understand that I'm not a politician, I'm not a central planner, I'm not a control freak, I'm not a sociopath, I'm not anyone that's trying to manipulate anything. I'm just trying to tell people, speak truth to reason, use some logic and common sense, and help better inform people so that you can realize that this is the world that you live in, even though the mainstream media, the political propagandists and the pundits, they don't want to tell you that truth, that reality. I'm trying to help you out. It's kind of important that you start to stand up for yourself and those that you care about in this country and do something about it. If you don't, hey, like I say, I can't change or affect that. If you don't, that's fine. But like I say, when you look around at some stage again, be like, hey, where the fuck did Ben go? It's like, well, I exited stage left, motherfuckers. You guys don't want to listen? You want to do your thing? Well, yeah. Actually, you won't even probably be able to find me. Well, you might. But whether you can find me or not, once I've sworn off, that's the thing with me. I'm an all or nothing kind of guy for the most part. Once Once I step away from this shit, once I walk away from when I realize that what I'm doing is not working properly and not bearing the fruit that I expect it would. Like I say, when I exit stage left, good luck trying to convince me to jump back into the fray. That's why it's vitally important that the people that do watch my video, that pay attention to the kind of stuff I tell you, if you don't share, like, subscribe, if you don't at least give me some feedback that what I'm doing is worthwhile, then I just won't do it anymore. It's not a threat in any way. It's just me recognizing reality. I'll move on to doing something else. Something where I think it will bear fruit. Something that will be more beneficial to people. Like I said, I'm not a fan of beating my head against the wall. If I'm beating my head against the wall, let me know. I'll stop beating my head against the wall. It's Canadian Libertarian. I love liberty.